Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to a Father's Day edition of Diamond Kings, the YouTube sports talk show that focuses on baseball. We're brought to you by the sports-kings.com media network. My name is David Whitlock from red hot, scorching hot Houston, Texas. It's been a busy week of baseball news with the story breaking the St. Louis Cardinals being investigated by the FBI for unauthorized data stealing of my Houston Astros. We had the big day the other night with Alex Rodriguez getting his 3,000th hit on a home run, no less, joining Wade Boggs and Derek Jeter as the only ones to do that. He also joins Hank Aaron and Willie Mays in that 3,600 home run club, which is controversial but interesting. And then another round of All-Star voting came out, and another Royal passed another non-Royal, so we're up to 8 Royals starting the All-Star game. So we'll get the feel. We've got one guy with a Royals hat on. I'm sure he's got some thoughts on it. So we'll get some reaction to what we think the All-Star voting is so far. And finally, we're set for the College World Series this week. Vanderbilt and Virginia will be squared off for the second straight year there in Omaha. So we'll get some predictions for that. Joining me this week are our panelists and returning panelists and one rookie. Start with the returning panelists. We'll start with Leroy McConnell III from Dallas, Texas. How are you, Leroy?
Hold on, Dave. I'm still voting.
Oh man, stop! Disconnect. You already had your 35 votes. Okay, no, void it. We have proof. And, also joining us is a newcomer to our panel. He's been on our blog, hitting up a lot of big stories, and he has his own blog as well, Caleb on Sports. Thanks for joining us today, Caleb Luketic from Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited here. So let's hit it off here. Let's go.
All right, great. Well, it's great to have you. Thanks for joining us. Maybe joining us later is Kelvin LaPierre from Arkport, New York. You remember Kelvin as a regular on the show. He got called away for what appeared to be a fire drill in his dorm. So he'll jump in later, and as you know, he jumps right into the story. So let's start with the St. Louis Cardinals situation. So it broke earlier this week. I believe it was the New York Times that broke the story that the FBI was actually investigating some personnel in the St. Louis Cardinals. It's not clear whether it was organizationally or a couple of what they're calling rogue individuals, but essentially, since Jeff Luhnow had left the franchise for Houston in late 2011, he had set up the same type scouting system and computer program that then they were able to hack either using his old passwords or it seemed like primitive means to get in. This is a little bit out of baseball, and that the FBI was involved. But of course, it'll be a baseball story, particularly after the football season in which we had Deflategate and all this, and the integrity of the game is being questioned. So we'll start with Leroy. What do you think of the St. Louis Cardinals situation? If they find it's a couple individuals, should the whole team be punished? Could they be punished with draft picks, or how should the league react? And what do you make of all this?
Well, Dave, this is like the 1983 version of War Games at Rogers. So I had a bunch of peons down from the lower end of the St. Louis Cardinals organization. Had some information. They wanted to see how far they could push it. This is a bad deal, and we don't know exactly what have been found yet. The FBI is investigating. This is St. Louis Cardinals, well-respected organization, but me being from Kansas City, I want to see some dirt. What could they possibly be looking for? I mean, emails, texts. I don't understand. It's got to be more than a scouting report because everybody has the same information for a scouting report. It's too early to sit here and see what kind of punishment they have. We don't know exactly what has been found. I'm hearing that this has been going on since before it started, but until we know for actually what was found, I guess we really can't hand out any punishment for the Cardinals. The way to see today.
Right. Yeah. By all means, all the data has to come out, but it appears to have been going on for several years, and some speculation is that it was a move to embarrass Jeff Luhnow, since he left that franchise, to kind of put him in an awkward position. It was embarrassing last summer when some trade details got leaked and specific players and other teams' data got leaked, and so it was, again, embarrassing for the Astros, kind of first grade type stuff. How can you not protect this data if that's your livelihood? Caleb, what do you think of this? Should the Cardinals be punished? Like Leroy said, this is a very well-respected franchise. Of course, all the National League pennants and World Series recently and throughout history. What do you make of this?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up for right now because we're not really sure what's all actually happened. There's been a lot of rumors happening that they've had a lot of things happen, but we don't really know exactly what they actually got and what they were trying to gain out of this whole scheme, I guess you could say. We really don't know yet. So for my sake, I'm not a Cardinals fan, so personally I would like to see some sort of a punishment, but we don't really know what's happened, so we can't really tell what that should be, what that shouldn't be. If it's just, hey, they saw that the Astros, they had a couple high draft picks, or they had high thoughts on a certain player here and there, we don't really. I mean, that's not really that sensitive. I mean, you can kind of already tell. Hey, they either really like him or they just don't. So it kind of is a wavering thing. But if they did get into some higher level type things, then I do think that they should be punished with some sort of a draft pick taken away, something like that. And I don't think it'll be anything crazy. It'll probably be a draft pick that's not really worth it. That doesn't really matter, and maybe a fine. $100,000, $200,000. It's probably going to be about it. And this is going to kind of drag on until about September to October-ish, and no one's going to really care whenever we actually find out what the heck happened. No one's going to really give a crap because it's been happening for 4 to 5 months. It's just going to be overused, so no one's going to really care.
Yeah, good points by both of you. I certainly agree. There's no way we can jump to conclusions yet. Some interesting aspects. This is the first time in which we've seen this corporate kind of espionage in any league. It's always been this kind of Deflategate or what do you call it, Spygate and that type of stuff. All right, Kelvin's finally joined us again. So we'll see where it goes. I kind of agree with Caleb in that it's going to drag out for a while. I don't know what they can take from. I'm going to mute Kelvin here. He's kind of. All right, Kelvin, you were a little bit loud there, so whenever you're ready to talk, you'll have to unmute yourself. But it'll drag on for a while. I don't see what they can do besides potentially, like you were saying, a couple draft picks, a fine, maybe ban a couple key personnel for a year, just like NFL coaches have been banned from the sidelines or the front office, that sort of thing. But other than that, we're probably not going to see a big punishment. What can you do? You can't get players back. It's embarrassing for both franchises, really. So we'll see.
This is dangerous. To me, this is worse. This is worse than Spygate.
Yeah.
You are actually getting in people's personal information. All they did is footballs and ain't no right. On they found. So that's why it's a waste of fee for this one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good points. So we'll move on to the next subject, and we'll tie Kelvin into this one, assuming there's no actual fire in his building. The next subject we're going to talk about is the A-Rod 3000 hit. It was a really, really big deal. He's been, of course, approaching it with all the controversy of him sitting out last year, and nobody knew what he would do this year, but he's hit the home runs. He's passed Willie Mays. He's now got 3,000. He joins Mays and Aaron in that exclusive 3,600 home run club. So, Kelvin, what's your reaction to Alex Rodriguez's home run? You're up there in New York. It's a big deal. The fans seem to be getting behind him. What do you think?
Well, the fans have been behind him all year. It wasn't the fact that the fans weren't behind him. It's if he's playing for your team, you're going to cheer for him, you're going to support him, even though no matter how much you hate him. Like, I can't stand the guy because of what he's done and the way he's dragged the Yankees through the mud with his steroid abuse and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm happy for him. I mean, he's performing the way he should have been performing without steroids. I mean, He's out there. He's doing the day-to-day thing. He's keeping his nose clean. He's saying the right thing to the media. He's doing the right thing in the clubhouse. His teammates are there for him. His teammates are doing the right thing. They're supporting him, even if they disagree with how he's been. They're supporting him. Look at the embrace that Joe Girardi gave him after he hit that home run and he got back to the dugout. Teixeira's out there meeting him at home plate. You had Girardi at the top of the dugout meeting him, hugging him, embracing him, telling him, congratulations, you earned it. Basically, they had to throw him back out there for a curtain call, which is very un-A-Rod-like. He doesn't like the attention, even though it seems like he wants the attention with all the stuff he does. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the Yankees organization. They got another 3,000 hit guy. Did he get them all in New York? No, but he got a bunch of stuff in New York. Congratulations, A-Rod. As far as the guy that caught the ball, Mr. 8,000 balls from MLB games or something like that. Give me a break. You're in it for the publicity, basically, because everybody forgot about you. So now you caught his ball. You're Mr. 8,000 balls from MLB games. Congratulations. You got another one. Give it back to the guy. Yeah, you may not like him. You may hate him. I hate him, but I'd still give him the ball back. Yeah, he's put a tarnish on the game. Pete Rose has put a tarnish on the game. You know, if you caught a Pete Rose ball, if it was his 3,000 hit, you give it back to him. Give the ball back to A-Rod. Suck it up. Suck your pride up a little bit. Take the money A-Rod's going to give you and deal with it.
Very interesting story of the guy who's like a professional ball catcher, if there is such a thing. He shows up at all these ballparks. He's able to hawk these balls, catch them. I personally think it's his right to keep the ball. It's his ball. You don't have to give it back. But Caleb, you hit up a big blog this week on this whole situation on the 3K, on the ball, not giving it back. You obviously had some thoughts on there. So share what you think of the whole situation, and in particular, what's going to happen to the ball, and where this puts A-Rod in history.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that the fan is like, you know what, I'm not going to give it back. But, I mean, I would definitely give it back, but without getting something from him. I would definitely want something. I don't really care what, just something, some tickets, some autographs, however much, just something. But yeah, I do think that he needs to give it to him because he definitely earned it. Even though I'm not a personal fan of him, I still think that's still quite an accomplishment. So I do think that he's kind of just doing this just to kind of get out there and say, hey, look, I'm gonna be a jerk, and I'm gonna be all over social media, over the media, just everything. I'm just gonna take it over. So I think that was kind of his thought, which is whatever. But definitely this has some major impacts. Does this really show that he's one of the greatest hitters, or is this kind of a tainted thing because he cheated? I mean, there's a lot of different viewpoints here, and for me, I don't really know. I mean, I do think it is a great thing. It's an amazing feat, but he still cheated. And a lot of these hits, I really don't think that he would be where he is if he didn't cheat. Now, I do still think that he would be a fantastic hitter. I still think he would be amazing. But I don't think he would have had these extra hits and extra home runs that would have kind of pushed him over the edge here. So for me, I don't really think that it's that much of a historical thing. I'm not a fan of the way that he's really done this. I do, however, really respect that he's kind of shown, say, hey, I'm really sorry, I messed up, and I know that I messed up. So I do think that he kind of humbled himself a little bit to come out and show that. So I do really respect him for that. So.
Yeah, good points, and we've been talking about A-Rod for a couple of years, and there were some periods where he just really wasn't conducting himself in a way that was conducive to being a teammate. But everything he's done since he's been back, he's been humble when he needs to be humble. He's been getting big hits when he needs to get big hits. As Kelvin talked about, his teammates seem to be surrounding him. If this team makes a push to the postseason, I would certainly, he's going to have to be one of those leaders. He's been there before. He's won a world championship with the Yankees, and not many Yankees that are around today can say that. So it'll be interesting to say. I know Leroy always has opinions about the steroid era of baseball. So what do you think? Does this put A-Rod in the top 3 to 5 hitters of all time, or is it still kind of we're not so sure?
Well, batting average wise, no. One A-Rod would never be in the top 5 all time hitters. The fact that one, no one ever pitched around him.
Yeah.
And Barry Bonds, they were scared to pitch to him, so they intentionally walked him 668. KT A-Rod, they don't. He does not pose that threat. Who poses a threat? Griffey poses a threat, even though he didn't. He got pitched to. Babe Ruth probably was sent to first base, so I wouldn't put him in that category as all-time top 5. This is Major League Baseball. They have allowed this man to come back to play the game. Every time he gets up in that plate, it's net bat. It counts. Every time he puts the ball in play and he gets on base where it goes over the fence or it drops into single, double, triple, ball, walk, it counts. So 3,000 hits is 3,000 hits. I don't care how he got it. You can sit there and be smug about, well, he did it when enhanced. A-Rod has been in the Major League Baseball since 19 years old. He's been hitting the ball since 19. He's got a 20-plus year career. He's going to get an average 150 hits a year. That's 3,000 hits right there. So, heck, he's got, 3 or 4 more years of almost a Yankee contract.
Right.
He's going to catch Jeter when it's all said and done. A-Rod's having a wonderful season this year because Jeter's gone. He's the most critical. You've got to walk behind it. Everybody's respecting Jeter, so, A-Rod's always out there. Jeter's gone now. The sun is out right now. He's loosey-goosey, and they're having success this year. A-Rod's come back. He's genuine. He's apologetic. And he's sympathetic. And then fool that caught the home run the other day has made him sympathetic. A-Rod, you know what? You can have the damn ball. I got the 600 home run. I got the home run, my 3,000 hit. It's there. Give it to Major League Baseball. He doesn't need it. He's going to hit more. He's going to have more milestones. Milestones right now is not important to him as being accepted by baseball right now. He's happy to be in the game right now. This is probably the best year he's had since he's been in the Yankee uniform because he's playing free.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to worry about, am I going to be caught? Is anybody? Everything is out there. Right now, he's enjoying baseball, so I'm going to celebrate with him. I wish Bond should have had his 3,000 here. He was 65 away. He was 4 RBIs away. That year when he had the staff effects, he missed the whole season. He would have had his stuff. He said, I know that beat him up. Say what you want, but a hit is a hit. So congratulations, A-Rod.
Yeah, great counterpoints all around. I still am not so sure about the PED steroid era. I think the record's retaining, but like you said, when you step into the plate and you get that at bat, it counts just the same. It's in the books, so you can't have it both ways. You can't have it count and then not count, or put an asterisk next to it, because you'll never figure out who was doing what. So we'll move to the next subject now, which is, speaking of Leroy, we'll let Leroy go last again, so he can disagree with all of us that are about to attack him, maybe. But the Kansas City Royals now are up to 8 of the 9 starting All-Stars, including, I forgot the second baseman's name, who's batting .206, and you've got players like Miguel Cabrera that's not in the game. You've got Mike Trout is the only one that's in the game that's not a Kansas City Royal. There's some question about whether some ballots are being thrown out, and counting in the millions. So we'll go the same order as last time. Start with Kelvin. Kelvin, what do you think about this All-Star voting? Should that many Royals get in if they're all voted in? Should they change the voting format? Should the commissioner step in and do something? Should the Royals back off and say it's almost embarrassing for us to put a team out like this? How do you think this situation is going to go?
Well, they've already asked the commissioner what he would do if Kansas City Royals make the lineup. And basically his answer was the fans vote. The fans are showing up to vote. That's who the starting lineup's going to be if that's how it's voted. So, and that's the way it is. That's how the rules stated. The fans get to vote in the players. Is it right? No, because you have 8 Kansas City Royals on the team, and there's only 2 that are deserving to be in the All-Star game on the starting lineup. I'm sorry, Leroy, but you can't sit there and deny that there's only 2 that deserve to be in there out of the 8. And Lorenzo Cain is a strong third option. Right. At best, he's like a number 4 outfielder out of the 5 that go to the All-Star game for outfield. He's like a 4 or 5 candidate. He's not a starting candidate, period. But it's like I agreed with baseball last year that it should be a fan vote. I agreed with it last year, but you look at it this year, and it's 8 Kansas City Royals, and I'm second-guessing everything that baseball's All-Star game is about, especially with so much on the line now for it, where it's the winner of the All-Star game gets home field advantage in the World Series. You're going to put 8 Kansas City Royals out there in a National League ballpark where the pitcher's got a bat in the All-Star game? No, Leroy, no. It's just not right. I'm glad baseball's stepping in and saying, hey, we might have 60 million ballots that are tainted out of the Kansas City region. Is it going to change anything? Probably not. It might take 1 or 2 of those guys off and drop it down to 6 out of 9 are starting Kansas City Royals. Those 30 million might be the lowest of the lowest million votes to get in. So, baseball, are they going to change it? No. Should they? Yes. Is there anything a fan can do outside of Kansas City? No. Kansas City, congratulations. You're showing up to vote. But what are you going to do when your Kansas City Royals cost the AL the freaking home field advantage in the World Series? Oh, wait. I forgot. You guys lost last year in the World Series because you didn't have home field. So there you go. Get there again and lose it again without home field.
Good points. I think it'll take away from my enjoyment of the game. I enjoy the mix of players. I'll just go out and predict it now. If 8 Kansas City Royals start the All-Star game, they'll somehow figure out a way to win the All-Star game and show everybody wrong just to do it, and that second baseman will get like 10 hits in the game. So Caleb, Leroy's chopping at the bit, but we'll go to him last. Let him have the last word. Caleb, what do you think of the situation? Is it fair to have this many people in? Should they change the system? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, this is kind of an interesting thing. It's weird because this has never happened. So I wrote this article about Friday or so about this exact same thing, and so there's a lot of this is just kind of a weird thing, but I do think that this should be a fan voting system here because this is for the fans. This entire thing is for the fans to watch and to enjoy it. But I'm not going to enjoy it if it's the Royals against the National League. Sorry, but I'm not going to find that fun. But I do think that they need to change the way that you can even get a vote in. I think that if they want to have an online only thing, fantastic, fine. But make it a ballpark only thing where you have to go to a Major League Baseball game and vote there. It cannot have an outside and online system. If you want to have some sort of a kiosk there that you can go and vote as many times as you want to, or you have to have an email, a phone number that you can only vote 5 times, even 10 times, but not 35. 35 is ridiculous. Why 35? That number is ridiculous. So they need to have it in the major leagues ballparks, because it just doesn't make sense. Why vote 35 times? It just doesn't make sense at all. So it would make it a lot more fair, because you would have to actually go to the baseball game to actually vote. You have to go. You have to at least buy something. You have to get your ticket. You could just show up there and just vote. You don't even have to watch you don't have to watch it. You just have to vote. Just show up and vote. That's it. So it definitely forces those I don't know, hackers or whatever you want to call them. That's going to basically get rid of that completely. So I think that they need to have it only inside of the ballparks there, because that just makes it more fair, but also it still gives the fans a voice in saying, hey, I want so-and-so to lead my American League city or my National League city there.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. There's also, I guess, a corollary to this is I think Nori Aoki from the Giants is also leading the National League in voting because he played for the Royals last year also. It's like they at least know they're players. They're not just punching the Royals buttons. But all right, so Leroy, you've been doing calisthenics over there. You're excited. What do you think about this? Is it fair that the Royals are voting in mass? As a Royals fan, do you want to see all your team be the starters, even if it costs you potential home field? Because the Royals are one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league right now.
Hold on, Dave. Let me put in my final vote right quick.
Yeah, hold on, man. 35th vote and go.
Caleb, okay, I understand, voting, 35 times is ridiculous, but you cannot punish fans who cannot afford or can't go to the ballpark. Don't have time to go to the ballpark. So
very true.
Should they punch in? Probably so. They should do the old way of punching in. But you cannot punish folks who don't go because there's only 40,000 people going every night, and
that's very true.
Buy the package on TV and watch it on TV. You need to figure out a different way. As a Royals fan, we lost the World Series last year because we had to rely on the American League West, Central, and East to get us home field advantage. We lost because of those knuckleheads couldn't get us there. All those Yankees and Red Sox and Houston guys.
Oh, we only had one guy. But...
Now we go ahead and put our own guys in. Because,
there was only 2 Yankees last year.
It was 0. I mean, it was 1 Royal. That was Salvador. And Salvador can't do it all. He's behind the plate. But now, if we can put our guys in to start this game, to represent the American League, because they do have the best record in the American League, I might add.
Somebody look up the Royals Interleague Series stats already.
Oh, hey. When we win, when the American League wins, because the Royals were there, you thank us. It won't matter. You guys won't watch the World Series because we're going to be back there. And we're going to win it this time because Game 7 will be in KC. Now, is it right? No. I mean, all them years when we couldn't even get a Royal fan or a Royal player as a representative, we didn't sit there and cry. There's 1 million people in Kansas City, if that.
But you did cry when Eric Hosmer got left off the home run derby ballot.
Like I said, look, we're worrying about the big picture, the World Series. Yeah, we're going to win the All-Star game at home field advantage in Kansas City, not the help of the 4 million voters he could have had in New York or whatever, but because of just 1 million people in Kansas City on fixed income, just getting on their little laptops and just don't go hacking. Hey, y'all got caught. Maybe you can change the rules for next year, but this is our year. It's all about the blue and white.
All right. No, well said. You almost got me convinced. If you win home field advantage, take it into your own hands. Now, when my Astros make the World Series, and your Royals lose the All-Star game, I'm coming after you.
Oh, you have the right to complain then. Hey, who's the manager of the All-Star also?
That's right. That goes. So,
but he doesn't have his bullpen.
Hey, we might, add those 3 bullpen guys in there. That would make 11.
That's right. Yeah, it would be. My main thing is I like to watch the game. I like to see the variety, but hey, it is a fans' game. I think Caleb has a good point of doing it in the ballpark. I remember as a kid, we would sit there and get the hand ballots, way in the old days before they invented computers, before Al invented the internet, and we'd get 2 or 3 in a row, and we'd try to punch through 3 at a time. I hit up all the Astros. I do the Astros on some ballots, and I do my favorite players on another, and then my fantasy players on
He did all Astros.
Just on a few. But, we'll see how it works out. We'll see if this throwing out of ballots. I don't know how you decide which ballots to throw out, which not to. I mean, we ought to get the Secretary of State of Florida in here from that 2000 election. She could tell us more about it than any of us. But which ones they throw out, if it evens up, I think 3 or 4 or 5 starting is fair. I mean, there's enough debate about guys like Moustakas and Perez and Kane and maybe Hosmer that you could say those are legitimate guys. But some of the others you're taking away from potential Miguel Cabrera. You've got, of course, Nelson Cruz having another MVP year, DH, and instead you're getting Kendrys Morales. So that's the way I'd fix it. I mean, that's what I hope it turns out, is that at most 3 or 4 reward those fans for voting in their players, but at the same time not have 8. 8's just too ridiculous, despite what Leroy
Another thing you have to realize this: it's not like they're playing the whole game. So take your 2 and then take them out and put some Astros in, I guess.
But you're taking spots away from players that are having the years that should be in the game, and they should be starting, and they're getting that All-Star game recognition taken off of their resume.
Y'all should be voting.
I don't care.
A-Rod.
I don't need to. Why would I vote for A-Rod?
So Kevin makes a good point.
I'm not voting for A-Rod because of what he did to the game. He can have a great year. I'll acknowledge his accolades.
You know what?
He's not our best player.
You'll be sitting there kissing his butt if he gets you winning the World Series.
If we win the World Series, if A-Rod performs in the postseason, I'll kiss his ass. He has to perform in the World Series. He has to perform in the postseason first. He's done it 1 year, and that was in 2009 when the whole team performed well.
And they won.
It wasn't just because A-Rod, though. It was the whole team. It was the whole team. It wasn't just A-Rod.
All right, good debate, guys. We're going to move on now. So final subject, and I know, at least I don't have a lot of time to watch college baseball a year, so it's difficult to totally break down this series, but we got the College World Series finals is starting, I believe, tomorrow night, Monday night. You've got Vanderbilt against Virginia. Vanderbilt's the defending champions. They've marched through so far, done quite well. They have the number 1 overall draft pick. Swanson, I think's his name, and he scuffled a little bit there as in the College World Series, and some people were blaming it on the draft. And you've got Virginia, who was top 5 earlier in the season. They had some bad injuries. They dropped all the way down. We're a 3 seed coming into the tournament. That's in the regional now, so there's only 4 teams in each regional. They were a 3. They went out west. They win the Western. They host a super regional. They win that. They're back, and they march back to the final. So we'll start this time with the guy in Tennessee, Caleb. What do you know about this College World Series, and how do you think it's going to shake down?
Well, I have loved every single minute of it. I love it. It's one of my favorite things just to watch. I love just how hard everyone plays, and it's just really, really, really good stuff. But I gotta take Vandy here. Vandy, they just have it. They just look really good, and it's hard to really pick against them. The pitching is fantastic, and that's really what is gonna be the difference. Is that right there? So I've got to have Vandy here.
Not a bad pick at all. Defending champions. So Kelvin, what do you think of the College World Series, and who do you think is going to win it?
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, in the opening round in Omaha, Vanderbilt's game against TCU got weather delayed. In the bottom of the 6th inning, Vandy was getting beat 3-0 with TCU winning that game 3-0, and they had runners on first and second and 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning. And that game got suspended until the next day at noon. Gave Vanderbilt time to clear their minds, bring out a start fresh with 3 innings to go left in that game. And they came back to win that game and sent TCU to the loser's bracket. And then they just started rolling after that. So you look back at that game. If that game doesn't get weather delayed, I don't think Vanderbilt wins that game. I think TCU rolls on, wins that game, and Vanderbilt's playing a double elimination style tournament already with 1 loss after game 1. And they're playing a different style of ball game the rest of the way through. They're not cruising through. They're playing a different style. They're playing teams that are scrapping and fighting their way in there, unlike what they played the rest of the series where they were not in an elimination game the rest of the way. But I'm picking Vandy. I had Vandy. They have more top-tier draft picks on that team than Virginia does. They had Swanson go number 1. They had their best pitcher go like number 6 or something like that shortly after. Then they had a few more players go. So I'm picking Vandy to beat Virginia in back-to-back games. It's going to be over Tuesday night. I'm picking the sweep, taking 2 out of best out of 5, so they're taking 3.
That's
They're
two
taking
out,
3.
2 out of 3. It should be 2
2 out of 3. Yeah, they're winning Monday night, and then they're winning Tuesday night to end it. Nothing. It's not a diss to Virginia. Congratulations on getting there. It's just Vanderbilt's just got the team that's stacked. They seem to always find a way back. And they weren't even ranked going into the year. They didn't know what they were going to get after losing all their picks from last year, and they did it again this year with picks. They just got the better talent. If it shows up, unlike the TCU game to start, Vandy's going to sweep this, and it's going to be 2 games and done.
Good points around, Leroy. What do you think of the series?
Who did Vandy beat last year?
Virginia and Texas.
And guess who's going to beat them this year?
Virginia. All right.
All right.
Revenge.
Yeah.
You're a man that could. Going to beat down.
I think.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think it was going to be a great series. I hope it goes 3 games to have that winner takes all for the 3rd game. I'm going to go with, going into the show, I was thinking Vanderbilt. I'm going to lean towards Virginia. They seem like a team of destiny. They got down in this elimination game against Florida, who was one of the favorites coming into the College World Series when they got down to the final 8 teams. And I think Virginia just got a pitcher back. It's 3 games in a row, so you can't really get that case where you start bringing pitchers back. You have to go with a different starter every night. Virginia's pitching's good. Vanderbilt, I think they might be full of themselves, a little overconfident, and Virginia might want it just a little bit more and finally win one for the ACC. I don't think the ACC's won one in several years. So I'm going with Virginia. Hey, I want to thank you guys for joining us. I want to thank our fans for watching. Caleb, good to see you. Hope to see you back. Kelvin, despite the fire drill, thanks for joining us. Leroy, keep on voting. I don't care what anybody else says. I'll give you 70 votes, 100, 105 votes. Just make up new addresses. I'll give you half a dozen addresses. We'll see how it goes. But until next time, we'll see you on Diamond Kings.